on to the Chief Justice story now, because she's no longer the Chief Justice. The acting Chief Justice has long since taken over. But now the presidency has confirmed that, of course, the president's decision is that Gertrude Torkonoo will no longer be our Chief Justice. Ivan, your take on that? The fact that, well, it's the end of the road. With just one petition. There were actually two.
Yes.
The first one caught her in the web.
Yes, from where I sit, I think was appropriate because a constitutional process was activated, it was followed through, and at the end of the day, per the dictates of the Constitution, whatever the recommendation that the committee comes up with, the president is enjoined to go ahead with it. That is exactly what happened. Yes, I've listened to a lot of concern being expressed by people regarding the future of our democracy and other issues, but for me, where I sit, that the president received a petition from a Ghanaian who felt that certain things had gone on in the judiciary that were inappropriate, and a petition was sent to the president. The president is mandated by the Constitution to forward the same petition to the Council of State, and that is exactly what he did. The Council of State went through the petition, and they were able to establish merit in the face of the various grounds that has been stated under Article 146. And then the committee was set up. The president signed a warrant. That is a discretion that only the president can exercise, because per the Constitution, if prima facie is established in that situation, the president can sign a warrant, and that is a discretionary power only the president can exercise, and he did so. And President Mahama wasn't the first person to do that. I remember when Justice Derry and 4 others had issues with ANAS, and prima facie was established in their case, President Akufo-Addo signed a warrant suspending them pending investigation. When the investigation ended, the committee recommended that they be removed. So for me, this is not a novelty. It has been done before. But what I find quite mind-boggling was some of the disposition of the Chief Justice in reacting to some of the situations.
You mean the former Chief
Justice? Yeah, former Chief Justice. Right. I was quite shocked with some of the reactions and some of the comments that she was making. First of all, when the president forwarded the petition to the Council of State to establish merit and to establish what they call the prima facie, she came out asking for a ruling from the Council of State. And I'm like, Council of State is not an adjudicatory body. They are not lawyers. It is not an adjudicatory process. What they are supposed to do is to review whether there is legitimate grounds for that particular petition. Because don't forget that the Constitution states 3 grounds upon which the Chief Justice can be removed: infirmity, both body and mind, misbehavior, and incompetence.
Stated misbehavior, well, I have issues with that, but anyway, just...
Yeah, stated misbehavior. These are the 3 grounds. So because the Council of State is not an adjudicatory body, they cannot go into the legalities and the constitutionalities of the petition that has been submitted. So they only situate the petition within these 3 perimeters to see whether they are competent in the face of the Constitution. And that is exactly what they did. So to demand for a ruling from the Council of State, I found like this is not an adjudicatory body. So what ruling are you looking for? You understand? And you see, over the years, I keep telling people that we are not growing as a country. If you look at the Constitution, that provision, it says the president should forward the petition to Council of State. The processes and the guidelines that has to be followed to ensure that the Council of State arrive at a decision that has never been written anywhere. There is no procedural arrangement that has to be followed. So there is some kind of ambiguity hanging that particular process.
You feel we should review that provision in the Constitution?
As I keep telling people, there are several portions of our Constitution have outlived their usefulness, and we really need to approach them radically and review.
So then we're not fair to the former Chief Justice then?
No, but she was Chief Justice. She saw these things. She didn't do anything. And some people in the past...
She's just a Chief Justice. I mean, she's not into...
No, but if you and I sitting here can just look at the Constitution and see there are several portions of it which have outlived their usefulness, a Chief Justice ought to have known it. You understand that? Because
and do what about it, really?
No, you say democracy is a growing process. We can activate a conversation and have some of these things. Before the election, there was this social media argument that we needed to do something about our Constitution. Now, President Mahama has set up a committee. They are going through the Constitution just to have it reviewed. Because Constitutions are supposed to be a living document reflecting daily aspirations, wishes, and whatever that is happening within the country. So always you need to update it. It must grow.
Here's the thing. There's another former Chief Justice, Sophia Kufuor, who's not happy about the decision. In fact, she's gone public on
that. She's an individual just like any other person, and there are a lot of people who are not happy about it. So for me...
But she testified, and her point is, look, if you look at the threshold, this is not something we should be very big on. It's just about travel, you know, and some other few...
No, you see, you can't brush some of these issues aside. For instance, if the law says that if the Chief Justice is on a private trip, you need to go with the security. I think there is a reason for that, because the person in question is Chief Justice. Traveling out there, there is a national security implication if she is abducted today and being forced to do anything, you understand? So there is a reason why a security officer must follow you. So at the preliminary stage, in case something is to happen, maybe the person to a certain extent can do something. You Chief Justice cannot waive that and ask the person to sit back and take your doctor along and be paying that person per diem. You see, one thing people are not looking at, integrity at that level must be discharged at its uttermost. You cannot impugn it, you cannot disregard it, because this person in question is the administrative head of the judiciary. So you are some sort of an emblem that everybody should be looking at. So you cannot be brushing aside some
all
of
these points you're making. Yes, they are fine on paper, but are you sure there's no politics in this?
I'm not sure. You see, I've gone through the process, and then I asked myself, well, any of the processes circumvented? Has there been any constitutional infraction? Has there been any misapplication of the law? And I have listened to a lot of lawyers speak. None of them has been able to pontificate to exact constitutional infraction that has occasioned thus far since the activation of this process. You understand? Yes. Beneath it, you can have this, you can say maybe there is some malice, some mischief beneath it, but the question is, can you prove it? Because the whole process has been in line with the Constitution. And for me, that's my worry. And there is one thing that I'm very much concerned about. You see, I refer to the posturing of the sacked Chief Justice. She went to court and prayed the Supreme Court to give her a green light so that the whole process should be shown on TV. And I'm like, what? Because there is an explicit constitutional provision to that. And the Supreme Court doesn't have power to vary a constitutional provision. Justice J.C. Amadou Tanko made it clear in his ruling that you are asking us to do the impossible, because we do not have the power to vary constitutional provision. That is explicit. There is no ambiguity hanging on that particular clause. So a Chief Justice who should know better, know these things, will go to a Supreme Court and ask them that the proceedings should be shown on TV. Sometimes it beats my imagination. And when that particular option was refused, then she carried the whole petition to TV and did a press conference, creating another legitimate ground for her removal, because you've breached a constitutional provision. Article 140 says 8. It states that the whole process must be held in camera. So if you do some of these things, so for me, I think she didn't help herself. And in the course of all these things, instead of focusing on defending the critical issues in the petition, we were dabbling in trivialities, saying things that were unnecessary, procedural breaches and those kind of stuff. And I think that from where I sit, I think nothing wrong has occasioned. I have listened to a lot of people who argue that we need to tighten the Constitution so that in the future, no Chief Justice can be removed. Let me sit here and make it clear that there is no Constitution under the sun that grants absolute power or absolute tenure to anybody under any Constitution under the sun. There is a reason for that. If you are even the most powerful person in this country is the president, there is a window for his removal. Because we are human beings. We can go anywhere at any point in time. So we cannot create an iron shield position and put somebody there. What if the person decides to do things on his own? You understand? So I think what we should be focusing on now is to making sure that whoever becomes a Chief Justice will go through a proper mail. So by the time the person comes out, you know this person is fit for that particular job. I will not be exhibiting these sort of things that we've been seeing in recent times.
And Fatih, you are a lawyer as well. Divided legal opinions on whether or not her removal was appropriate. In fact, there are some who are bringing on new perspectives, indicating that, look, even her removal was just as Chief Justice. That's part of the political argument that's being made. I mean, the legal argument that's being made. That, look, you are removing her only as CJ. You're not removing her as a judge of the Supreme Court. But I mean, let me get your legal thoughts on her removal.
Okay, first of all, blessed, of course. I've been clouded by two pro-government activists. Of course, Nana, of course. Nana is a presidential staffer. I do not expect her to speak a position that contradicts the position of the president or the ruling party. It will not be fair for me to expect that from her. And then Ivan is a known NDC activist. I do not expect his position to contradict. Oh, of course. I mean, let's have integrity. It's okay. No. So no, but I respect their respective opinions. But I want us, yes, I want us to go into this conversation appreciating the context of this case. And over the period, there has been a bizarre relationship between women at the bench and the NDC. PNDC, NDC, quite a bizarre relationship. In the 80s, of course, we had a situation whereby a female justice of the High Court, a breastfeeding mother, was lured and murdered for doing her work. We had a situation where Justice Georgina Wood was the Chief Justice of the Republic. And then 3 gentlemen, popularly known as the Muntie 3, threatened physical assaults. The court charged them with contempt. They were imprisoned. The president at the time in 2016 granted them presidential pardon. And even before the pardon, ministers of state, including the female ministers at the time, had gone round to solicit signatories to petitions for their removal. That threatening assault, saying you will do something to them, should not warrant any incarceration. And I'm talking about the same proponents of rule of law who today can pick TikTokers for saying things on the live and then causing their arrest, and arrest somebody and go to someone's house and bundle him for posting a picture or video on social media. And then we came to Justice Torkonoo. From the jump, I knew she was a goner because this is a political wish hunt. There is something called prejudice. Even before these petitions, and I'm not even talking about the 3 and the last 2, I'm talking about the Professor Asari's first petition to the
one that was done when you were in power.
Yes. Even before that petition came out, anytime leading members of the NDC were on radio or TV, all they said was that when we come to power, we are not going to work with this Chief Justice. The only time they supported this Chief Justice was when they were communicating a justification for why the NDC said the Supreme Court was full. But as soon as they won power, they found dramatically or surprisingly 7 empty spaces to appoint justices to the Supreme Court. But because they are doing it, it's justifiable. And if it is being done by another government, it is not justifiable. I have heard radio interviews, and I have watched some of the radio interviews on YouTube, where the chairman of the NDC, Mr. Johnson, Asiedun Ketia, a.k.a. General Mosquito, has said that the Chief Justice is a goner. And I'm talking about even before a committee is constituted, even before a prima facie case has been established, even before there is a hearing for the outgone Chief Justice to state her side of the story, they had communicated publicly and given the direction and communication to their allies, their third-party so-called neutral allies and everybody to go out there and say the Chief Justice is a goner. The Chief Justice is a goner. Now the next attention should go to the Electoral Commissioner. I wouldn't be surprised if a fictitious petition, a frivolous petition is filed tomorrow against the EC.
There are some already filed.
And then, yes, and then there will be a charade of another Article 146 hearing to remove someone whose qualification is similar to that of a justice of the Superior Court. But one thing is for certain, most of the people who are having commentaries on these issues have not even read the petition based on which the CJ is removed. Neither have they read her response to the petition and the key issues that she raised in them. I have read the 21-page petition that Mr. Daniel Ofori wrote to the president. And I'm basing my submission on that petition because the committee's work, based upon which the president has removed the CJ, is only dependent on the Daniel Ofori petition. Not the Shining Star, not the Akologo.
Has been suspended.
Yes. Are you the suspension as it stands today is based on Daniel Ofori's petition. Daniel Ofori's petition contained 25 allegations. 1 on purported misbehavior and then 4 on stated incompetence. And the petition did not come with any exhibits or evidence, for which earlier on the CJ was contesting why a petition that has gone to the president for him to onwardly forward it to the Council of State for a determination of prima facie case, when the petition does not even come with exhibits or evidence.
One more evidence we need.
I am coming to the substance of the petition for the benefit of our viewers and for the purpose of education. Okay. Let's come to the first 3 counts of the allegation that were made against the former CJ. They said the former CJ has traveled to Tanzania, Arusha, with the husband on a holiday, on a vacation, and the state had to pay for it. They said the CJ had traveled to the United States with her daughter on a vacation, and the country had to pay for it. They said she has taken a per diem, an impress of $14,000, and failed to retire it. The CJ has come out to say that, 1, the CJ is not in charge of the travel policy of the judiciary. Number 2, the emoluments. No, because I'm coming to Article 71. No. For the purpose of education, we should not circumvent any of the parts. Whatever condition, whatever conditions of service offered a Chief Justice is not determined by the Chief Justice. There was the Prof. Abubando Committee that did the emoluments of the Article 71 office holders, including that of the Office of Chief Justice. And then there is a travel policy for the judiciary, which is being controlled by the Judicial Service. In all of this, the CJ said, no, it is not true that I took $14,000 and I did not retire it. I retired in excess of $9,000. Number 2, by law and convention, the CJ is entitled to 2 paid vacations in a year. So, and I have heard some of the comments from NDC commentators and their signs, including one video I watched of Ivan saying the Chief Justice and the husband even flew business class. And I'm saying this is the head of the judiciary. If the president can take private jet, can take first class, can take charter flights, we want to reduce the office of the Chief Justice to someone not even entitled to business class ticket. And then people have...
It's finding.
I am saying that... No.
So how
please,
do you... How do you justify that?
I am saying that when I am coming to what we call threshold. I am saying that if there was an audit finding that the Chief Justice failed to retire the impress, they would have brought a query for which there would have been a search on that particular account.
Policy that was violated. The money wasn't meant for neither her husband nor the daughter.
I am saying that before 2010, the travel policy used to state the specific individuals, including spouse. After 2010, we had a situation whereby you have a CJ who may not have a spouse. So they added another person. And it is only reasonable that they remove the spouse and replace it with another person, not security. Anybody peddling that they included that she should go with a security is false. It means they've not read the policy. Another person, as a Chief Justice, going on vacation, which she is entitled to, as stipulated in their travel policy, went with her husband. And the argument is that it should be a basis for stated misbehavior and removal. And we say that is
and that's why I was outraged.
And now I am coming. I am coming to another issue. As for public travels or official travel, it's unlimited. It's unlimited. There is also an allegation in the Daniel Ofori petition talking about the Chief Justice that she had some form of bias in his case with EcoBank. She had an interest of assault, and for that reason, there was a judgment against him in that case. If anybody cares to know, if you go to the Supreme Court, whether they are exercising their exclusive original jurisdiction, whether they are exercising their interpretation and enforcement jurisdiction, whether they are exercising appellate jurisdiction, the CJ does not sit alone. No justice of the Supreme Court sits alone. It is always a panel. If you state that someone has misbehaved because she was a member of a panel that ruled against you, why is there no petition brought against other members of the panel? Because in any case, if there was a panel of seven, if there was a panel of seven, and the CJ had a dissenting opinion, and the other 6 ruled in favor of your case, there was no way the opinion of the CJ was going to override yours. All that I am trying to say is that if you look at the substance of, and I can run you through allegation, responses, back and forth and everything, and tell you one thing, that there shouldn't have been basis for removing the Chief Justice if truly, the intention was to protect the Constitution, to protect the law or the judiciary. The only justification is that they had promised that we want to reset the judiciary. We want to remove these kinds of people and bring our kind of people. And we have won an election that has given us overwhelming goodwill. And at this time, even if we do anything, Ghanaians will not say anything. Right. And that we heard that in the time past there was an EC chair who a petition was brought against under Article 146. So this is our time to get our kind of flesh. And for that reason, we should, she is collateral damage for the previous administration. State that. If you say that with your full chest, I don't mind. But to antagonize the woman, to lie on her, to bring frivolous petitions and constitute a committee whose judgment was known even before they started their work. It's unfortunate.
You see, if the Chief Justice is the head of the Supreme Court, but you see, when you say that me and Ivan, we are going to be straitjacket, it means we are touching our credibility. When it is
Nana, you know I love you. But you are a staffer. You speak for President Mahama.
But the point
you don't speak for
Okay, so let's
discuss this.
You discuss when did we discuss? You see, when it is wrong, it is wrong. When it is right, it is right. You mentioned the audit report. Yes. She was dodging it. I worked in the public service. Once there's an audit report on a matter and it is not dealt with, it will come back and get you. Because this issue we're talking about, once it appeared in an audit report, what actually happened? This morning when I was coming, I was telling myself that I think that we should get the full details of what happened at the committee. That's why they arrived at the decision they arrived at. Because the speculation is getting too much. We have a constitution, unless the NPP is saying that they don't believe in this 1992 constitution. 1992 constitution from Article 6 to 10 gives you how a Chief Justice will be removed. But you see, if Fati is going back to when 80s, when there was a coup, then me too, I'll go back to 66. When my auntie was killed because my father was a minister.
Oh, really?
I mean, then we go back to 66. The CPP and the UP tradition. If you are going back into history, we talk about how Kobodu says sister was killed. We'll go back into all that. You get me? We all have history. But there are times this nation has moved forward. And once the nation has moved forward, because everybody has a certain kind of history, that has brought us thus far. When you go into the US, the European history, there were wars, there were revolutions, and now they are where they are. So if Fati and her people and her assigns, they want to go back into history, then we'll also go back into history. You see, the point is that the Constitution is here. We have used the Constitution to go through a process. And once that is it, I think that we should all let it be. But the NPP will not let it be. I am surprised. This woman, is she NPP?
Why do you say so?
You asked Ivan a question and he did not answer. You asked that we've brought politics into this. It is the woman who brought politics. Do you know that it is the woman herself who politicized the whole thing? Because the NPP went on demonstration. Look at Fatih defending. Is it her business?
Well, she's concerned about the law.
No, I am saying that is it her business to... All of them are defending this woman. I want to find out, is she NPP? Because the evidence on the ground is that NPP is going on a campaign to defend this woman and chide government for doing this. It is not even government who has done this. A petition was brought by a citizen. There were 3 petitions, I guess. Only one had veracity. One. And that is what they used. Fatih speaks and forgets about the audit report. That is key.
You've heard from the likes of the former Chief Justice, Sophia Kufu, who says, well, you haven't met the threshold. And she's not the only one.
Is there a threshold for crime? I never knew that it would come from her. She's my mother. I like her. She's looking good. The Council of State is doing her well. But is there a threshold for crime? Some people steal goat, and they are given 15 years. Goat. Somebody goes on a farm hungry and steals plantain. They are not given community sentence. They are jailed. Go to Nsawam prisons. Yeah, I deal with the prisons a lot. Go to Kumasi, go everywhere. The young ones. People like my children here, my young ones here, their age, younger than them, they are in prison. And when you ask them, somebody stole plantain, so there's a threshold for crime. She's not saying that nothing has happened, though. She's not saying that the person is totally innocent. She said threshold. Do you get me?
Don't you feel there's a gap in the law when we say stated misbehavior? It's something that can be taken advantage of. Don't you feel that's where the problem is?
I mean, once it's there, till we haven't taken it out. There are things in this constitution that has to be looked at. For instance, I was talking to somebody and we all agreed that the majority of ministers coming from parliament is problematic. You get me?
So the constitution has some...
Yeah, it has to be looked at. But I am
she's
saying
not
that,
giving... Oh, okay, right.
But I am saying that as it stands now, this is what has happened. So for anybody to conjecture that, oh, the MDC made up their mind to remove her, she herself hasn't helped herself. The politics and the drama she herself brought around it did not help her case. Now, I've heard she's in some court.
Yes, I was just going to point to that. The ECOWAS court.
Yes, that's her human rights has been violated.
10 million US.
What human rights is that? Me, I never knew. Me, I've always said that maybe she's one of the jewels we haven't discovered. Maybe she's... I don't understand. Why is she saying that her human... What was done to her? She shouted on somebody, Thaddeus sorry in court, openly. During the parliament issue, she shouted on Thaddeus sorry, openly. And she herself said that no matter how you squirm your face, no matter how you twist your lips, no matter how you bat your eyelids, no matter how you turn your eyebrows, the law is the law. It came from her. And the face, the gestures that she made showed that, yes, the law is the law. So now if you have used the law, what is wrong with it? Once the law, you see, nobody just said that, I have written a letter, you are sacked. You went through the process, and you see sometimes when
But with how fast the president acted on the reports, is it not a bit...
Was it fast?
No, I mean, in terms of, the moment it was presented, hours after...
No, but
the announcement was made that...
No, but the Constitution, does it give time? Well, the Constitution does not tell you what kind of petition you should look at. It is not there. So once it is not there, whatever petitions come to you, you have to pass it on. So you think that the president has something in mind, so he was waiting for it to act fast? I do not think so.
Now, deal with this for me, then I bring in the audience. How true is the speculation?
So much time to so don't stop me.
How true is the speculation that with what's happening now, your next target is the Electoral Commission? Some say, well, from here, you're moving to some other...
I don't know about that one, but this is what I know. But this is what I am talking about.
The chairperson of the NDC has said that. He says, well, all of them will go.
He said that.
Yes.
I didn't hear him, so I cannot contribute to that. I did not hear him say this. No, this is the first. I don't know the basis, the context in which he said it. Do you get me?
You didn't hear it?
No, it's true. I didn't hear the context. Maybe he was saying something, and within that context, he made a comment. So it would be very unfair for me to say yes or no. You get
so,
but
so you want to go watch the video?
Yeah, I'll come. So you see, that's what I'm saying, that we should try and stop the speculation. And one thing that also worries me is the fact that on this committee are very credible and men of integrity. Maybe I didn't speak the English well. On this committee are men of integrity and men who are credible. Do you get me? My professor is there, Jisa. Jisa taught me. You cannot tell me under any circumstance that Jisa is not a credible person. Domlevo, if you engage Domlevo, if you engage him, the man is straight. Justice Poorman. There's another judge there. There's even a major. So are you telling me that all these people sat and they all agree that this is it? Especially Domlevo will tell you as it is. Domlevo has gone through the process. He was removed. He went through court and he was acquitted. And now he's here. So are you telling me that you don't even respect those people? You see, the life of the NPP in this country is very, very troublesome. It's very, very, very problematic because everything they would make sure that they make some politics out of it. They should rather think about how to build their party. Their party is now in crisis and in tatters.
Okay.
It is time for them to build it. But Dean, I want to tell you, sir, he's called Dean, eh?
Yeah.
Dean.
Kamal
Dean. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You talked about visa fees. You were saying about visa fees. But you know there was a time that a foreign minister went out to say that the visa fees were too high, especially with the UK at the time. No, one of the foreign ministers, I think it was Ayoko Boche.
No, I'm talking about whether the visa fee is high or not. I'm talking about where an embassy quotes its own rates as opposed to what the government
The embassies are different.
No, but they are within the country.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the embassies are different. They have their own, different currencies. They have their own operations.
So for the sake of time, let's.
You know, there's time and you give.
I'm just coming to her again straight away. I want to ask Yaa Jantuah whether the NDC, the Charlotte Osei was also NDC. This is City News. 29th June 2018, NDC to stage demo over Charlotte Osei removal. I want to find out if the Charlotte Osei was also NDC.
I am saying that if any politics is in the... Are we asking whether there was politics in Charlotte Osei? I am saying that if there's any politics here...
No, you asked that...
You're asking if the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice...
is NPP.
No,
and I'm also asking when the NDC plan to stage the move over Charlotte Osei's removal. Was she also NDC?
Dean, I am saying that I don't know what Charlotte Osei is.
I'm done.
You get me?
You are evasive.
Okay, so
yes.
I'm not coming to... Ivan, I just want to quickly...
I don't know what Charlotte Osei is.
No, for her to have raised it, now I'm canceling what she said.
Okay.
Yes, we are not canceling it.
She said she doesn't know.
I don't know. And I don't know this one too.
You have to give me some preferential treatment.
Why should we give you preferential? Why should we give you preferential? Why should we give you preferential?
So I think Ivan made a certain comment. I was taken aback about the issue being in camera, and then she requested that it should be shown. Ivan, we're all in this country when the election petition was granted to be heard because of the national interest. So it tells you that much as there are stated rules, but when something develops national interest, at least certain aspects can be, or certain rules can be sidestepped to cater for it. So when the election petition was being telecast on television, I don't think any violation of the Constitution was.
No. But you see, and then again, the problem here is I haven't gone on to equalization. If we start equalizing, then we will not finish.
I'm deducing from what.
No, we cannot equalize. If you want to equalize,
but there are two different.
So let me go straight to my take.
Yes, please go straight.
Listen, this is my joint online. 28th August 2022. I'm reading this because I'm part of the proponents who feel like the issue of the Chief Justice was a fait accompli, even in opposition. It will take a new Chief Justice to repair broken image of judiciary, Mahama. That is 2022. So it was something already pre-planned that when they come into office, they are really going to get her out. And that is what they've done. And Blazer, let me put it on record. You stated you made a point about stated misbehavior of Article 146. I sitting here as Kamal Amasama Bruni, I've resolved that if there's a change in government, within a day or two, I'm also going to write a petition using...
But you don't know who the next...
Yeah, I don't...
The next
no. But now it's looking like it's contemporaneous with a sitting president. Because I'm also going to exploit the weaknesses of the stated misbehavior, which is not well defined in the Constitution, to write a petition. Because today, I can equally write a petition against a Chief Justice by virtue of the fact that a meeting is supposed to start, say, at 9, and he comes at 10. I can state it as misbehavior. So it's either now they have a rubber stamp parliament, they can use it to well define what stated misbehavior is, or we all exploit the loophole that is in there to a petition against a future Chief Justice. That is my proposition.
You see, Blaise, the point is that this posture of Kamal is very interesting. When it is their turn, they want you to treat them like some babies. You have to pamper them and mold them. And do you get me? When it's, listen to what he said, and I've heard it variously, that when we come, we are going to make sure that we write a petition. When
Some say it's because of the precedence that's been set now.
What precedent? So what about Charlotte? Me, I'm sitting here. If I tell you my story, you weep for me. Do you get me? Do you get me?
Yeah.
If you hear my this thing.
Okay.
So I am telling you that, you see, when it is them, why are they doing that? Because the woman you are saying is not NPP. Me, I don't know her political decision. Right. Now you are going to avenge her on her behalf. Because then you are going to write a petition because she's your person or what?
Okay. For the sake of time, maybe Fatih wants to chip in something.
Just two quick interventions. One, on the fact that there was an audit report on the findings on the travels. Right. Let me remind you that when the Auditor General's report is released, it is not conclusive. And that is the very reason why people within the public sector are called before the Public Accounts Committee to come for justification. And if they are able to provide further and better particulars, then the issue is conclusive. When the audit report came, the Judicial Secretary actually responded. And after the response, there was no further engagement or complaints or concerns on that issue, meaning the justification was sufficient. If anybody anywhere says they have a document showing that when the Judicial Secretary responded to the said query with regards to the travels, and that there was any additional information from the Auditor General's office that they were not satisfied, it's not true.
Okay. Let's go into the audience. I want to hear from many of you. Then I'll come back to
audit report and the responses.
Yeah, briefly.
Yaa Jantuah. There've been a barometer, barometer survey, and then it states that almost about 85% of Ghanaians have lost trust in the judicial system. So we believe that the removal of the CJ is part of the reset in our system, in the judicial system. I want to know, it's on my joy that Akufo-Addo has packed the court with NPP inclined judges. We must balance it. Mahama to end his lawyers. My joy, and date is 3rd September 2023. So some of us believe that this removal of the CJ is politically motivated or
it's premeditated, you want to say?
Yeah. So I want to ask, how is this going to reset or bring back the trust that Ghanaians want to have in the judicial system? I want to ask. Yaa Jantuah.
Great question there. Let's go behind. There are some more people. Okay, so let's do the one in front. Oh, there's a gentleman in front beside you, Kamal. Okay, we'll come back to him. Let's hear from the gentleman there.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think just like what my brothers earlier said, what makes it look political is what the NDC, their position in opposition, what they said about the judiciary and the Chief Justice in question. So they come in government and doing it. It's just like they just going by what they said in opposition. So what we are saying is that the president has an arm of government, which is the executive, and now they have majority in parliament. So through a rubber stamp, that side also is more like to the president. So leaving the judiciary out, which is going to stand in to make sure our democracy is in good standing, then going there to take away the CJ now makes it look like you've undermined the whole democracy we have in this country. Because as of now, the only arm of government that is distinct or that stands in for the people is the judiciary. Because currently we know the president has the executive and then the legislature. So what we are saying is that the president has set a very dangerous precedent that any government that may come in will want to tour that same path, in the sense that you've gone in to take out a chief justice who has an arm of government, who has the judiciary. You've just kicked her out just like a polling station executive.
But, there's a question Ivan was asking. Where's the proof? I mean, the law was used. Where's the proof or evidence to say that she wasn't giving a fair hearing?
Oh, personally, with what we've heard or what we've seen, we can say it's not unconstitutional, it's constitutional. Just like how Ivan said, the constitution itself has already outlived its usefulness, because currently checking through the process, it's just like the president, the Council of State at that side has already been politicized, then coming into the committee being formed by the same president. So it's just like when the president wants to take out the CJ, it's just checking through the constitution, just giving getting petitions to Council of State, getting a case, and then forming a committee to just take the CJ out.
Yeah, hand the microphone to Julius, because Julius disagrees with you. Then there's a lady behind as well. She wants to make an intervention. Yes, Julius, yes.
Yes, I would first of all use this opportunity to greet my mentor, that's Honorable Joycelyn Tete, MP for Not Dying. In this issue, sometimes we get confused as youths coming up, because anytime there is a matter of national affairs, it becomes like the opposition always comes in to support the one that is going in the other way. That is the CJ like this. The petition was brought. It was taken to the Council of Elders, Council of States. Yes. It was taken through the right channel as the Constitution directs. So I don't see where the parliament, the majority that has been given to the NDC has to do with this. It will only come in when these procedures were not taken, but just jumped into conclusion that, yes, CJ, we are resigning you.
Kamal has given a number of events leading to this, saying that there are links. The former president has even said something. The current president has even said something about that before in opposition. Is that not enough evidence to prove?
I should keep a banana under a cloth for 2 weeks, and I sit somewhere, somebody tells me that what you kept there, the next week you go there, it will rot. And exactly a week later, you go there and it rots. Does that mean he caused the banana to rot or the nature? So it's just like going to meet...
So you're trying to say it's bound to happen?
Yes.
That's what you want to tell us.
It's just like meeting a marking scheme. I've marked your script. This guy also marks the same script of the for another person. And then at the end of the day, we compare the two. We see that even though we have the same marking scheme, this guy marked in favor of the person against the marking scheme. So if I should take the same script and mark according to the marking scheme, which is the Constitution, I don't see anything bad with it.
Julius, thank you. There's a lady behind. Let's give her priority then, and then I'll come to the gentleman in front. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm Jamila Bagaya. With regards to the Chief Justice, I think we should not politicize this issue, because she said the law is the law. So once you go contrary to the law or you violate the law, the rules should also, you should also face the rules. So, and looking at what His Excellency JM is on, he's on a mission of reset. So anybody who tries to go contrary to the country's direction.
I hope you're not threatening. I hope you're not threatening us. Because that would mean that you and Nanaya, you come and take all of us from the studio as well, as part of reset.
No, this is not a trait.
Yeah,
but we've seen that there were breakages at the judicial system.
I get the
so
point.
it needs a reset. So I would encourage every citizen and our leaders to try as much as possible to obey and let us serve the country's interest rather than our own selfish interest.
Okay. So because of time, let me take Ivan. We'll go on a break and then come back. So we'll take other thoughts as well. Ivan.
Yeah, Blessed. I think this whole process is not a novelty. It's not as if this is the first time this particular provision has been activated. And I think playing the female card in this instance will not wash, because the last time I checked, Charlotte Say wasn't a man. You understand? I'm not seeking to do retroactive justification, but the fact is that Charlotte Say went through the same process and then she was removed. You see, on the travel policy, this is not a travel policy for Bank of Ghana or any other institution. It is for the judiciary. So if there should be anyone who should have much understanding, it should be the Chief Justice, who is the administrative head of the judiciary.
There's an interesting point for TV, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention. That, look, it's not conclusive, right? Because it will go through a process, the infractions will be raised at Public Accounts Committee, and then a final report is issued.
Yes.
So, in that case, you are concluding just at the auditing infraction level?
If we use just the report as a basis for her removal without getting the opportunity to meet a committee, she met a committee. There was a former AG in the committee. She went there with her lawyers. She had a day with the committee. She probably...
but I'm not talking about the committee. I'm talking about what Fatih is saying about the audit findings. It's not conclusive.
Yes, but see, that audit finding not being conclusive, details of it was espoused at the committee level.
And because there was an auditor, a former auditor general.
Because a former auditor general is there. The woman had actually gone there to state the same thing Madam Fatih said, and the details might have been espoused there. You understand? So that is not an argument. Again, traveling with the security is something that cannot be waived. The Chief Justice is supposed to travel with the security, just like the President. President Mahama cannot just wake up and say, I'm going to Tamale and I'm going alone. I watched an interview that George Bush granted. He said the thing he likes doing most is driving. But the Secret Service told him, hey, you cannot drive. You understand? So sometimes the security implications, because some of these individuals walking comes with some level of security risk. You understand? You are not alone.
Yes.
The security implications are quite obvious. So you cannot just travel alone. I mean, my argument has always been that, you see, if you look at the judiciary, before this whole thing, wasn't the fact that the judiciary of this country became a subject of public mortification on various social media platforms? Was it? It became an article of ridicule on various platforms. Instances where rulings were coming from the Supreme Court and people were subjecting it to some kind of ridicule. You had a famous unanimous that tells you that public trust and confidence in this institution were low. You understand? It got to a time we had a failed parliamentary candidate who was actually handpicked and put on the Supreme Court. Yes, qualification, he has all the qualifications, but you see, we are doing politics. We are not dealing with animals or some kind of robot, people with emotions. When you do some of these things, you rob integrity from the very institution you are seeking to protect.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the first time, is it? I think there's one justice who used to be with the, PNC or so. He used to be
So you see, I'm telling you that, you see,
he used to be. So yes, it's not the first.
No, I understand, but you see, our politics has evolved. Yeah. We are growing as a country. Yeah. There are certain things that were done in the past, but doesn't mean that we can play the same cards here, because we know the kind of acrimonious politics that we do with this NDC, NPP. Anybody with known ties to these political parties, handpicking such an individual and put him on such a sensitive institution would discredit the institution. Because in one of the instances, I listened to lawyer Tidal Sorry, who raised an objection that justice should be removed from the bench because of his political past.
Yes, during the ruling.
Yes, the Chief Justice brushed that particular. You see, the point that he raised there were other side of it that people didn't pay much attention to. Especially at the time the judiciary appeared to have gotten so dirty in the eyes of the public. We need to do something to sanitize. Doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice the Chief Justice, because for me, the Chief Justice is just a small part, a small piece of the larger puzzle that we are seeking to unravel. And for me, sanitizing the judiciary is the ultimate. And I'm urging President Mahama, removing the Chief Justice with this, that should be the starting point. Because for me, we need to be very effective and make sure.
Oh, so you want more people to go?
Oh, no, Sanitizing judiciary doesn't mean removing people. Don't misquote me. Sanitizing the judiciary doesn't mean removing people. What I mean is that, what I'm trying to point out is that in the eyes of the public, the public confidence and trust isn't there. So the president must do everything just to ensure that confidence once again return to this institution. You understand? Because
the round
and then before we go. Okay, right.
Yes, we need to build public trust and confidence in these institutions, that the Ghanaian will feel comfortable that, hey, because over the years, if you look at the legislature, it's partisan football. It depends where you stand across the political divide. If you come to the executive, depending on who is in power, sometimes a lot of things happen.
I get the point.
If there is an institution, we cannot afford to lose its fidelity, neutrality, independence. That should be the judiciary. The judiciary should be espousing integrity at the highest level, and that should not be compromised. So any signs contrary to that, I think the state has a responsibility to move in and curb and weed out some of these things. And that will make it sanitized.
There's so
That's
much
what I mean.
pressure from the technical side to take a break, but let's get the interventions before we do that.
Yes. Quickly, for the purpose of education and without prejudice.
In fact, Abu at my journal line says, ask Fati whether the purpose of good conduct, even if the office is to give the office holder such goodies, shouldn't they reflect it like Mills did? So it's about higher standards where she is, isn't it?
And I'm saying that for the purpose of education and without prejudice to the justices who I'm coming to use, for example. But in response to Ivan's submission, I want to state emphatically that under the 1992 Constitution's regime, having been politically exposed and having served political office has never been a bar to being appointed to any of the courts in Ghana, not at the lower courts and not at the superior courts. And specifically, let me give you this example. Justice George Boedi, he used to be the NDC MP for Amenfi East. He was appointed from 1993 to 2001. He was appointed to the High Court, and nobody raised any issue with it, because in both capacities he was serving the country. Justice Amos Lawe-Boete, he used to be the NDC MP for Adan from 1993 to 2004, and the Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister. He was appointed as a High Court judge in the Mills Mahama administration. Nobody said anything. Justice Francis Jamfiri Kobie, former MP for Jirapa, 1993 to 2001. He was appointed as a Court of Appeals judge. Justice Gabriel Puaman, former General Secretary of PNC, he was appointed to the Supreme Court by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in 2015. Justice Yao Apau, he was a former PNDC Deputy Secretary for BA. He was appointed by Prof. Mills and JD as a judge in 2016. No. It's not about justification. But the earlier submission seemed to suggest that sanitizing the judiciary means political element or perceived political elements or persons purported to be politically exposed should completely be removed from the judiciary. And I'm saying by convention, by practice, it has never been an issue.
Fati, I believe you speak for the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
That's your new post.
I'm one of the kids. No, it's public knowledge.
So
I didn't know.
So this is the point. He's been accused of being part of the challenge that we have, because when he was, adding more judges to the Supreme Court, the claim is that he had packed the Supreme Court with people who were,
assuming without admitting that President Akufo-Addo packed the Supreme Court, where did the current president, John Dramani Mahama, got the space, empty space to put 7 judges in the Supreme Court? Not that some people retired and were being replaced not that there were any incidents.
Some have
The
retired.
court, I'm saying at the time of the appointment, it was not a replacement exercise.
Right.
It was a packing exercise. But I never sat on any platform to make an issue out of it because there is a basic
But your people
qualification
did.
for who can be at the Supreme Court. President Akufo-Addo did not pick an NPP full soldier who is not a lawyer in good standing with the requisite
how many did he
experience
appoint?
and qualification to the court. But I'm saying in 8 months, you have put already seven in 8 months. And if it is
Probably
a trend
that
to
would
go
be the
by
president's
the end of 4 years, if we want to come and do the comparisons and all that, let's wait till the end of 4 years and count the number of justices that the NPP administration appointed to any of the superior courts in 4 years and compare them to the number of justices that today,
Okay.
as the floodgates are open, being appointed.
Yeah.
His
to superior
Excellency
courts.
JM is learning very well from His Excellency Nana-Addo. It's a good thing. Yes, he's learning from his predecessor. That's what we want. It's a good thing. But he said you packed and he is learning from you. So the point is that you asked a very fundamental question, a good question, that the resetting of the judiciary. I don't think it's about political people there, but the process itself. You have to go to the courts sometimes to see what goes on there. I'm chiding anybody. Do you get me? So when the president talks about making sure that the judiciary is reset, I don't think it's about sacking people.
Yeah.
Do you understand me?
Looks like
And then also the point that what somebody says, the people are sacking. What somebody says in opposition, what somebody says in opposition does not mean that even if it happens, I should cut.
We'll take a break and then I'll
because
come
I
back
want
to you.
to continue.
Yes, so that you make that point for us. You're watching Prime Minister. We'll be right back. Please stay. All right, thanks. And what a conversation we've been having before this. Let me give Nanaya the final take so we can, of course, draw the curtains on the program for today, Nana.
I'm saying that if somebody is in opposition and they say something, if you have done things right, you would not have any problem. When I was in PURC at the time as a director for PR, my son's friends who were in TESCON used to tell him that when we come, you see what we do to your mother. Do you get me?
Really? You used to see that?
Yes. This man who is dead, who used to be at, what was his name? The former general secretary. The very controversial dead man. What's his name? Sir John. Sir John told me and said it publicly that what they would do to me when they come to power, they will put pepper in my eyes. Do you get me? Yes. They put pepper in my eyes, but I went through it because I didn't do anything. I went through pepper, proper pepper. But you see, if somebody says it and you haven't done anything, you go through it, you suffer a bit. But what? I resigned on my own. Today I resigned because I thought that why I've served Ghana all these years and why should I go through this? But somebody said it, they orchestrated it, they said it on TV, radio, they said it everywhere. That they'll put pepper in my eyes. And so the fact that President Mahama said it, if the woman went through and there was nothing, why should anybody let her go? And you see, one thing that we should all know is that, you see, President Mahama is very, very upbeat about women. And you didn't watch his body language. One day he said something. He said, why has she gone out to speak? I saw it in his body. He said, why has she gone out to speak? It's even possible that there are things that we do not know that has been hidden. That's why I'm saying that for the noise of the NPP, they should bring everything out for us to know. You see, the fact that somebody responded to an audit report doesn't mean that it has been accepted. And sometimes you also consider the person involved. I worked in the public service for so long. 27 years I was there. Yes, sometimes I regret that I should have left earlier. And I advise anybody not to stay that long. Yes. Because when the audit report comes and you respond, and the auditor is not satisfied, sometimes they don't escalate it. because maybe this is the Chief Justice. Somebody will go behind and say, okay, this one and things like that. So, may I believe that if this woman hasn't done anything, nobody would come after her. And we should give respect to the committee.
Right. Okay. Let me just do 30 seconds, Ivan, and then you, Fatih, then we wrap up. Yes.
Ivan, 30 seconds.
Yes.
That's a quick one. I think that appointing individuals with non-party ties to any of the courts isn't illegal. But I'm saying that for the optics of it and where we've got into, the advances we've made in our democracy, some of these things has to be taken care of, a second look at, and then how to situate it in such a way that we don't court public opprobrium or some sort of sentiment that will be expressed in a certain negative manner. And again, when I mention sanitizing, if you go down to the lower court and sometimes you follow some of the rulings coming out from those places, it's shocking and mind-boggling. And I think we need to pay much attention to the lower court and sanitizing. You understand? And also put a ceiling on the Supreme Court.
I see.
I think with the Constitutional Review Committee, we need to padlock it at the top to prevent any future overblow.
Fatih, the last.
In conclusion, I am saying that as it stands now, it appears as a country we don't know what constitutes stated misbehavior under Article 146. And looking at how frivolous the allegations brought against Justice Torkonoo were, we can only presume that in the future, if any citizen of the country feels a discomfort, no matter how subjective it is, they can even bring a petition that this Chief Justice looked at me funny. And it will be sufficient for them to constitute a panel and establish a prima facie case and remove the served CJ. So the floodgates are open. The threshold is there. And we shall learn.
Give Fatih one-on-one on this matter.
A round of applause for my panel as well. And that's all we have for you here on Prime Insight. Grateful to Fatima Abubakar, former Minister for Information, to Ivan Che, and also to Yaa Jantuah for joining us. And to you in the audience as well. We'll see you again. For those of you watching at home, this has been Prime Insight. I am Blessed Sugan. We can connect on social media at Blessed Sugan. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.